Ребят, всем привет! Добро пожаловать на мой канал China by Marina. И сегодня в этом видео я познакомлю вас с замечательной супружеской парой Александры и Нео, которые узнают не только характер, но и культуру друг друга. Она из России, он из Китая. Как они стали встречаться, почему китайские родители были против брака и мешает ли разница культур, смотрите в этом видео. Погнали!
Tell us about yourself. How did you meet each other?
Okay, so I came to China almost 5 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
I went to the university to study Chinese. So I studied there for about 2 years. But before that, still at school, I have met my husband.
Wow, so nice, so sweet.
Yeah.
Here in China, right?
Yeah. He was working for the sports gym, the new sports gym that was just opened, started in the area where all the English teachers used to live, and he was coach there. The gym was just opening, and lots of machines were not working yet.
Really?
But
It's not my fault.
yeah, it was not his fault.
Yeah.
But they were providing you the way to begin to train there. So one of the machines was not working, and I was the foreigner.
Because
And-
I can speak English.
Yeah, he was the only one who could speak English.
Yeah.
And all the other coaches would push him. You go. You have to do something about this crazy foreigner. Because I was crazy, I have already paid the money,
Yeah.
and the machine is not working.
Yeah, because we think foreigner have lots of things, too much trouble.
Yeah. You go.
Yeah.
So he was the only one to go there. He became the only person who I was familiar with there. When I came to China, for me the greatest question and the greatest trouble was that I couldn't tell one Chinese from the other, and they looked the same. And for me, Chinese people all look the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah, after a week or two, I could distinguish my future husband from the other coaches. He was usually helpful, but he was good. He was always coming up to me, saying hello, and so on and so forth. Of course, he had his purpose. He wanted me to buy his lessons
That's for business.
because
Market.
yeah, it's market. Yeah, it's okay. I don't blame him. Yeah. Finally, I agreed to this. I bought some lessons.
10 lessons.
10 lessons.
Just a lesson.
10 lessons. Yeah.
Yes.
This is the personal way. Yeah. This is your personal program. The coach works with you. It's not only about machines, but it also working with your body. Diet, and all these things. I was sure I didn't have any problems with my weight because I was sure I was okay. But for Chinese, I look very fat.
Really?
He was always very helpful, and I
Yes.
thought maybe there is something between us. But he said, no, I'm not about this. I'm very professional.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
And in that time, you just felt, oh, you're falling in love.
No.
No.
It's like
How did you date her? Just, let's go. Free lesson.
no, it was not.
I treat you eat Chinese food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is They say that the way to man's stomach is to man's heart is through his stomach, but the way to my heart was through my stomach. I think.
Because one time I'm eating. But yeah. So I asked her, why you not eating? She said it's okay, 没有问题. I just wait. Actually, she don't like it because in foreigner their mind, they always think Chinese food is like a noodles, like low rice and pork.
Yeah. So
非常
fatty.
Yeah, and very oily. For example, the south of China, they eat maybe a little very.
Cantonese.
Yeah, like
It's
Cantonese,
not spicy.
not spicy. The east of China, they eat a little sweet,
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
a little sweet. And the north of China and the west north China, they eat a little spicy, but very delicious.
And we were like friends, and we were dating, going to movies and things like that. But it was like I was not thinking about getting married. Yeah, with Chinese guy, because the thing is, because in China there are so many boys.
Yes, exactly.
And the girls are less. That's why when you
Not
come
too
to
much.
Yeah, that's why when you come to China, they start asking you, do you have Chinese boyfriend? Do you want to date Chinese boy? And things like that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to have Chinese boyfriend.
Really?
I'm not going to date Chinese men. But the thing is, my husband is just special. Yeah. He is like the special one. Is there something like serious between us or something? And my husband said, I would like to ask you to go to celebrate this moon festival with my family. Remember?
Wow.
Yeah. And I said,
To introduce your his family.
yes. And it was very serious.
Of course, big
Yeah.
step.
I didn't know
Very
it.
serious.
I didn't know this. And I asked my colleague. She said, "Wow, it's so serious. He's introducing you to the family.
Yes, yes,
Is he serious about you? Don't play with it."
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh my goodness, maybe it's too serious, but it's okay. I'll go. Finally, I will play like I'm a foreigner. Just was interested."
yes, yeah.
So, but it didn't happen because my husband, future husband, just said that he will introduce me.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. He was scared, right? We were scared.
No, I forget.
You
that-
weren't
I
sure
forget
about
that time.
her. Like maybe because it's really like a big step to introduce to your
To- yeah, in
family.
Chinese.
Yes.
They're
Maybe he
serious.
thought I was not serious
Yeah.
to say yes. Yeah. And later.
Oh, I remember. Just I thought you're not excited, and you just okay, it's okay.
It's
We'll,
okay.
so I thought it's okay. Maybe we'll have more time.
Yes,
Yeah.
to know each other better.
Yeah,
and
know each other better.
Yeah.
How long were you dating?
Maybe for about 2 years, right?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like we were friends, and then we were dating and all these things. And then my husband, future husband, yeah, at that time, he said, well, my parents are thinking about us getting married, maybe in October, right? Maybe
Yeah,
in
yeah.
September or October. And I was like, oh my goodness, maybe I have done something wrong. It's so
Yes, yes,
serious. Yeah, so serious. And yeah, because we're Christians, by the way, we're Christians.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I did that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I came to my pastor's wife and I told her, I'm dating a boy. Yeah, he was not Christian by the time. I'm
Yes.
dating him and I'm going to like get married to him. I don't know. And she said, okay, it's not a problem. You just invite him to the church.
Yes.
So yeah, we started to have more time together, also in the church,
Yes.
and all these things. It was really, really nice time, right?
Yeah.
We got familiar, got more friends, and I think mostly all of our friends are like the church friends now.
Wow.
We can also speak about the fact that my husband's parents didn't want me to get married to him. Or
Really?
they
Because
didn't-
you're a foreigner.
because I'm foreigner, right?
Wow.
They were very surprised and they were shocked. Right?
Not
Tell us
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Just before, my mother is okay because she think if I have happiness, it's okay, no problem. Just my father think a lot and more
Yeah.
detail. For example, he worry about if my wife after getting married go back Russia or also take baby go back Russia.
Yeah.
Because too far for safety and it's impossible you go to Russia and take you back. My father actually take care of lots of things and he also take care if the language, our culture, our lots of tradition. If you can use to take care of it.
And yeah, some people ask, even our pastor asked us, are you sure you want to get married? Because there is a lot of cultural difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult for you to be together. So speaking about us, I think being foreigners to one another helps us a lot because we know that the other person is not the same and we are ready to go and make peace to explain our point of view. What was our meaning? What was our thinking about?
Most of the time, before when we have some argument, I want to change her to accept my opinion.
Your opinion.
Yeah, and I want to change her to maybe her character or why are you so anxious, or why are you so angry, very easily, and why are you so we are always complaining for some lots of detail. So okay, you shouldn't do like this. You shouldn't have this kind of temperature. But 慢慢的 I realize I can't change anybody. What I can change is only myself. So finally I get peace. I find a way. Okay, maybe sometimes in the public place, because she don't like the smoking, she will go straight to the man or whatever very strong man. Ask them, oh, can you please stop the smoking? Yeah. At first I feel, oh, maybe we will meet some bad guys. They will punch you or speak bad things to you. They're crazy dogs. Like you stop them, but they will hurt you. It's not worth to do it. I'm very anxious at that time. So I realized I can't change her because it's her temperature, her character. So finally I found peace. Okay, you go. I keep eating.
I didn't know you.
Yeah, I keep realize. Okay, finish. Okay. If you can't finish this problem, okay, you need help. I go. If no need, okay, I just enjoy my things.
But I don't know you.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes he makes the first step. Yeah, he goes there and he asks. It's so sweet.
Very polite. Yeah.
My husband's family is very good. I knew lots of stories. They would say that, like, your husband's parents would make you born a baby boy. They will not accept any girl or whatever, because it used to be the case in China with some families before, and maybe they will get the baby, you will born the baby would be foreigner, would be looking beautiful. But when actually I met them and I got to know their character better, I understood it's not going to be the case. I didn't know them before, but all the time my husband told me, my parents, my family is very simple, because I understood they are really, really very simple. They want their child to be happy, their son to be happy, they want their grandchildren to be happy, boy or girl, whatever, they would be happy, they want us happy, and that's it. Yeah. And they never say like, this is mine, this is yours. They helped my husband to buy the apartment there in Guangzhou, and I said, like, okay, is this apartment ours or theirs? Yes. Is the car ours or theirs? And my husband said, yeah, it's ours. And because it's our families. Yeah, so they never cut it as mine, it's yours. And the other thing is, he used to share first. If you come to drink tea with people, first they will pour tea to you, not to themselves. There is a special way, this tea ceremony way, but usually when you eat with a family, the table is usually a round table, and they would take care of you. For example, my husband's grandmother, she always says, 吃吃吃吃吃多一点, like this. Yeah, you eat more, and they take care of one another, and it's so warm. It's a loving atmosphere there.
How do you feel? Can you like just feel a connection and just maybe some differences between relationships?
Most thing I feel is simple, because you need to guess what you think, and because for Chinese girl you need always to thinking. They will not tell you the straight what they thought.
Really?
Yeah.
But you always, I want this one. I want this one. Really?
I'm angry about this. Yeah, I don't like that. And my husband knows that. So
You feel it? It's much easier, right? Easier.
Yeah, sometimes you feel, oh, why you're so sweet.
too much.
Because everything showing in her face, and sometimes
Emotions.
yeah, emotions. Because for Chinese, we're not doing like this. Most of the Chinese and our culture like this. We
Don't show
yeah.
real.
You should don't. It's not polite. Even you, yeah. And we will. It's like maybe our culture. We will not speak very straight.
How about you? How do you feel?
Well, I feel like my husband is not really Chinese. He's
Modern.
He and his family, they are very, very open-minded. There are two types of Chinese people, I think. Some of them want to stick to Chinese way of life, and the other type, that is the type of my husband's family, they are really to learn something new from the foreigners, from the other things. They are very, very open and determined, and they understand that there could be some other way of thinking, some other way of cooking, some other way of approaching to some problems. They are just ready to learn and to accept your way.
Yes, and I think you're specialized together and you're different and it's more interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Very wise wife.
Thank you so much. Wish you a good night and good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
И мне было безумно приятно пообщаться с Александрой и Нео, которые нашли друг друга, счастливо живут вместе, потому что слушали свое сердце. И если вы до сих пор в поисках своей второй половинки, как и я, то не расстраивайтесь, возможно, она в Китае. Поэтому любите, и неважно с какой страны, ваш любимый человек. А сейчас наслаждайтесь видео с волшебной свадьбой Александры и Нео. Всем любви, пока!
不是人创造的。
Мы верим, что все союзы и браки заключает Господь на небесах.